In terms of farming in Africa, tuber crops remain one of the top most prioritized crops practiced here in Africa. Why? Due to its wide range and easy access to farming, which you could just have from your roots and your tubers, and you have already started planting. And since Africa culture permits that we mostly eat fufu and soups, this tuber crop serves as one of the best delicacies which could be used for fufu and eaten with all other food, which makes their planting much more important in Africa, being ranging from cassava, yams, sweet potatoes is not left out for its nice and beautiful nature, eating also as cheap. Now, in most of these crops, there are diverse means of planting and there are also seasons, being you plowing this farm or just plowing and taking your time using tractors or manual labor is still good. In the period of planting, or most preferably between March to May. After May, planting some of these tuber crops here might just lead to a lower return. That is, the yields will not be profitable the way you desire. From the season, you also have to identify your soil such that you know if it's tractor or you just need human labor. Because mostly in Africa, we love planting where our farms are done by our neighbors, our families, our extended families, our loved ones. Everybody just needs to be active. So, know the nature of your farm and know also who you are. Do not go in for tractors of which you could easily plow at the family level, thereby reducing costs. So, plowing all depends on your level of cost and how you intend to do it. So, go in for that which is best. Also, if you are getting to that which is yam farming, you do not require a farm, but in a case where you need a farm, you will need to also do plowing. But in a case where a farm is not needed, you will love to carry out things like bags. The longer the bag determines the longer the size of the yam you intend to produce. So, while taking notes of this farm you want to do, take on the nature of the farm. If you're using Dangote bag cement, the yam might be as short as that. Getting to cassava stems, this is how the nature is. So during each harvest you have done in your cassava, always carry out the roots and stand them in this manner here like this. This is why do we put them this way, such that it should not start growing on the soil. You see it's already germinating up. If meanwhile if it was closest to the soil, it makes it more easier for it to germinate more than this level, which makes it difficult to replant. So cutting it either by a little saw or by a cutlass, depending on your availability and your cost yielded, do what is best for you. Come on, your basket is already there to be putting it in each heap. As one person is putting it behind, another person is in front also trying to plant, and your farm ends up like this. From my own notice about cassava farming, cassava can be easily planted from the month of March right up to September. And each time you harvest, you could harvest and replant immediately, depending on how fertile that soil is. But in a land where it's not that fertile, you might just want to harvest all and maybe put some fertilizers into the soil before you start in again. So vast land gives you a vast opportunity to increase your soil, to increase your harvest, and to make more money. So, taking it out of the suburb is easily also the best method of planting because it gives you the availability of larger lands, and you could go from 1 hectare, 2 hectares, why not to an acre of land, given the availability in the suburb. Why do I say suburb? Because in the rural and the urban areas, it's very difficult for you to have larger land, and also the land will be very, very expensive. But see, this cassava here is at the level of 2 weeks. Once you have already planted, cassava takes a shorter period to germinate and just start growing. And no, cassava can not only be planted by this method. We also have a method where you bury the stems deep into the soil before planting. And look, when you are doing it in ridges, look how beautiful the farm is after months. So if you're planning to feed Africans, we know we love fufu, gari, cassava might just be one of the crops you should be looking at for you to produce fufu, gari, starch, animal feed, and much more. We go to Irish potatoes or sweet potatoes, any form of potatoes you're aiming at. Potatoes also help and it's also a good food produce. Why? Because people usually love potato chips, not only chips, but we also have things like hot pots or just Irish sauce, just making that soup when someone is sick and visiting them. Also for pregnant ladies, and it is widely done using ridges. Yes, for potatoes farming, ridges remains the top leg. You cannot farm these without ridges, unlike cassava, which you could do. Also, in forms of yam, there are just few materials needed for you to do yam. You just need a hoe or a shovel, which is highly advisable. You need your sacks or your bag. So it could go from Dangote bag cement to 50 kg, and also their soil mixed with fertilizers or manure, depending on the level of manure. So if you're taking something like a Dangote sack, which is a bag cement, note that the level or the height of your yam might be limited as compared to somebody who will use a bag of 50 kilograms, which just fills soils into it. So know what you're targeting and seek to work more with that which you're targeting. The larger the bag, the larger the harvest. The smaller the bag, it reduces the length of this yam. There are yams which could grow right up to 60 centimeters and above. Yes, 60 centimeters and above. So depending on what you're targeting. And also in Africa, Nigeria is the highest producer of yam in Africa. I can even put it to the world because no country produces cassava like Nigeria. Nigeria remains the top and it keeps growing, and most other African nations are learning it from it. So the types of manure required mostly in this farming, you should just use green manure, your farmyard manure, or your compost manure. Whatsoever is available for you is that which you should go in for. So if you are watching this video right up to this level or played on YouTube, please press on the subscribe button, like, share, and keep recommending our videos for those who are still new in the platform. Let it come, let it subscribe, and let's work together as a team. I'm open for correction, and it's not a masterpiece. We get to learn every day. And if you think in your country is not practiced in this form, it doesn't mean in other countries it's not done the same way. So get to know the studies and the analysis of this and work very well using this yam. So if you're going in for yam, even as an individual, make sure your soil mix your soil very well with fertilizers before planting your yam. These are yam seeds mostly used. Yes, this is how a yam seeds looks like. Very small, nice, and you also plant. There are some which have already germinated before planting. And do not plant right at the middle of the bag, but right up. Why? Because it permits this crop to go right deep, right deep. I say the larger the bag, the larger the yam. If the bag is small, it makes the yam not to expand very much. So which are you rooting in for? All the yams has its own way and still remain one of the top notch in it. So I'm grateful for you watching this video, and it's an inspiration. You don't understand what it means to be a farmer, because it is one of the most reliable source of income right up to date, as compared to people who would tell you online, online, online. Online is good, but there are a lot of scam. So I'm advising you today, come and start your farm. Is it your Irish potatoes? Is it your yam or is it cassava? Whatsoever is good, whatsoever is nice, I recommend it for you. Until then, it's been your host, Finance with Magdalene. Thank you for watching. Keep liking our videos.